Okay, so we're going live. So let me get rid of this YouTube video, and then we should be going live in just a few moments. Okay, it's here. All right. So if you want to check that out online, you can go over to this link that I'm providing to everybody. So we're going to be streaming on all sorts of platforms such as YouTube and Twitch. So if you know those websites, you can always go over there and check those out. But otherwise, we're going to be starting today's class. So this is Hacker Frogs After School, and we are doing web app hacking starting today. So let's get into it. So this is Hacker Frogs After School Web App Hacking. This is the intro. So before we do the first session, we're going to be doing this intro over here. And welcome to Hacker Frogs After School. Hacker Frogs After School is a cybersecurity program for learning beginner cybersecurity skill across a wide variety of subjects. This session is about intro to web app hacking. So what is web app hacking? Web app hacking is the intentional abuse of systems and applications accessed via the internet by a user, which benefits that user in some way. This benefit can take the form of access to unauthorized data or systems, the deletion of data, denial of website services, or any number of other benefits to the person who is doing the hacking. In order to learn web app hacking, we must learn about the internet, how websites work, and a good amount about the technologies and software found in that space. Most students know at least the basics of using a web browser and how to use websites, so we will build on those skills to establish a collection of techniques to explore and hack web applications found on the internet. It is important to note that at no time during our study of web app hacking will we engage in testing or hacking of websites or internet spaces that A, we do not own, or B, are not intentionally set up as learning environments for learning web app hacking education. So what we're trying to say here is that we will not do bad person hacking, we will do good person hacking, and we're learning about hacking to be good people, is what I'm trying to say. So we're also going to be talking about CTFs because we love CTFs over at Hacker Frogs, and Hacker Frogs After School classes prefer to incorporate CTF games into classes for a more interactive experience. But what are CTFs? Cybersecurity Capture the Flag, CTF games, are training exercises where the goal of the exercise is to capture the flag through the use of cybersecurity skills. In this context, capture means to gain access to a file or other resource, and flag refers to a secret phrase or password. So the CTF game that we will be playing to learn basic web app hacking skills is called Natas, which is hosted on the over-the-wire CTF network. The over-the-wire network hosts several different CTF games. The Natas CTF game is made up of many levels of increasing difficulty. The initial levels from 0 to 10 are going to cover the target web app hacking techniques for this course. So what's next? In the next workshop, that is this workshop, we're going to begin our journey into web exploitation with the Natas CTF game. So everybody, let's start. All right, so this is the first part of this web app hacking course. There are going to be 8 sessions in total for web app hacking, and by the end you're going to know a number of different techniques that you can use to hack against web applications. So this is the first workshop for our Intro to Web App Hacking course. Before we start, let's introduce the learning materials we'll be working through in the course. So the Natas CTF. The CTF game we'll be playing to learn basic web app hacking skills is called Natas, which is hosted on the over-the-wire CTF network. The over-the-wire network hosts several different CTF games. And the Natas CTF game is made up of many levels of increasing difficulty. The initial levels from 0 to 3 are going to cover the target web app hacking techniques for this session. All right, so to learn more about the Natas CTF rules, let's navigate to the following URL. So this is overthewire.org, wargames Natas. Particle to Do on Twitch says hello, hello Particle to Do. We're doing the first lesson in web app hacking today, so it's probably stuff that you already know, but you're welcome to stay if you like. So let's take a look. Okay, so Natus over the wire. Let's get that web page. Natus over the wire. Leave the page. Okay. So everybody, I want you to take a look at this web page. Oh, that's an ugly looking link. Let's get the better looking link. This is the better looking link. Okay, just over here. All right, so this is overthewire.org. It's a CTF platform, and there are several different CTF games here. The one we're going to be playing to learn web app hacking skills is called Natus. And here it says, Natus teaches the basics of server-side web security. Each level of Natus consists of its own website located at http://natus.labs.overthewire.org, where X is the level number. There is no SSH login. To access a level, enter the username for that level and its password. Each level has access to the password for the next level. Your job is to somehow obtain the next password and level up. All passwords are stored in the /etc/natus_webpass directory. For example, the password for Natus level 5 is stored in the file /etc/natus_webpass/natus5 and is readable by Natus4, the user Natus4, and the user Natus5. So we're going to start at the following URL over here. Particle to Do says the basics are always good to review. That is correct, and thank you very much for that insight. Okay, so we have a username and a password that we're going to use. So the username and the password are both the same. It's going to be natus0, and we have a URL over here that we're going to navigate to. So everybody, let me copy the link and provide it to everybody. And please navigate to that website yourself in your web browser. Okay, so let's navigate to the website. Okay, so when you come up on the website, there's gonna be this pop-up window over here, and it's gonna ask you to log in. It's asking for a username and a password. So what this is an example of is a very early type of login form on the internet. So we'll learn a little bit later about different ways we can log in to websites, but this is the most basic way. So under username, we just need to provide the name natus0, and in the password field, the password is going to be the same as the username. It's natus0. After that, click on Sign In, and you should be signed into the website. Okay, so everybody, if you manage to get to this page, and you can see this text over here, please type in the chat, I'm on Natus0, smiley face. Okay, that's great to see, great to see. We've got some people on Natus0. And so on this web page here, it says you can find the password for the next level on this page. So does anybody have any clue as to what we could do to see some extra information from this website? If you know how to get extra information from the website, please let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we'll be talking about it in just a few moments. So we're using, okay, so user D says that we can inspect. That is one way we can get extra information from the website. But I think we can do something that's a little more basic, a little more simple than that. And that is to simply look at the web page source. So inside of each one of these, so this is a web browser, and the web browser shows you what's on the web page, but this is not what is sent. So this visual representation is not what is being sent by the web server. And the web server is basically the computer that gives you the web page. What we actually receive is something that looks more like the HTTP source. And you can see the HTTP source by doing right-click and then select from the options. There should be one option called View Page Source. So if you can right-click and select the option that says View Page Source, it might say something different, but I think it will say something like View Page Source or View HTTP Source. I want you to select that option, and then you should be able to see the HTTP source code over here. So if you're able to somehow see the source code, please let us know by typing in the chat, I see the source. Smiley face. Okay, Particle Deduce says the shortcut is Control U. So there is a keyboard shortcut you can do to see the source code, which is Control U, but that'll come in handy a little bit later. All right, so this is what is actually sent to your web browser, and the web browser interprets this code over here, and it turns it into a website that looks kind of like this. So can anybody identify what's going on? Well, maybe it might be a bit much to ask if you can identify exactly what's going on in here. But oh, on YouTube, Marco Pulisic says Dirbuster. We don't need a tool like Dirbuster for this challenge, but there is a password. So this is known as an HTTP comment, and these are comments that are left in the code to let other developers understand what the code is doing. And for example, there's this comment over here, and it says this stuff in the header has nothing to do with the level. So we can ignore the stuff in this portion of the HTTP source, and you see that the actual content of the web page is this over here. You can find the password for the next level on this page. And there's another comment over here that says the password for Natus1 is this password over here. So if something is put inside an HTTP comment, that means that the web browser isn't going to render it, and it's just going to be ignored by the web browser. But it's here, and developers can see it. So what we can do is we can just copy this. So this isn't like a flag for the picoctf. This is actually the password for the next level. So what we can do is we can just copy this, and then we can log into the next level. And how do we do that? We can go back to the Natus0 page, and then we can go to the address bar, and in the address bar we can edit the address. So instead of Natus0, it now says Natus1. So go ahead and edit the address so it says Natus1, and then hit enter in your web browser. So this is going to bring us to the next Natus level. It's going to ask for a username and a password. So the username is always going to be the level. So this is Natus1, so the username is Natus1. And the password is going to be the password you just copied. So you just need to paste it in and click on sign in. Okay, so everybody, if you are able to see this text over here and you're on Natus level 1, please let us know by typing in the chat, Natus1 in, smiley face. Okay. All right, so let's. I've got a little presentation talking about what we did in the previous level, but I forgot to show it. So this is about HTTP source code. That was Natus level 0. Web browsers render out web pages based on the HTTP code that is provided by the web server. Every web browser allows us to see a web page's HTTP source code. So for web app testing, this allows us to find interesting directories, developer comments, and more. So sometimes inside this source code, we can see all sorts of interesting file locations and directories, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, so now we're on NATAS level 1, and what we need to do is we need to do some lateral problem solving. So it is said that when hackers encounter a locked door, they look for an open window. We can look at web app security in terms of checking which doors and windows are locked and which can be opened. So if we take a look over at the NATAS 1 webpage over here, it says you can find the password for the next level on this page, but right-clicking has been blocked. So if you try to do some right-clicking on this page, it'll tell you that right-clicking has been blocked. So we can't use the right-click method to get access to the source code. So does anybody know another method we can use to access the HTTP source? If you know, let us know in the chat. And I think Particle to Do in Twitch chat, sorry, has told us about one method already. If you know, let us know. So if we go over to our favorite search site, google.com. So let's see, user PK, it says that they need link. So we will give you the link. So we are at this. We're at this page over here. Let me get the password for you. You'll need a password and a username. Let me grab the username and password and I'll provide it to you so you can join in. Okay. Oh, that doesn't work. You know what you should do? You should go over to this link and copy the NATAS1 username and password from here. Unfortunately, in the Zoom call, you can't copy text. So, all right. So, what we were doing. So in Google, we can actually look this up. So, depending on what web browser you're using. So, for example, I'm using Firefox right now. In Firefox, how do we view HTTP source code? Okay, so it says context, click in the page and select view page source. Press Control U on Windows and Linux or Command U on Mac OS. So this is how we can access the source code in another way. So we can't use this method over here, but we can do the Control U keyboard shortcut. So if you're able to access so we can use either Control U on our keyboard, and that's going to give us this source code over here. But another way we can access it is by editing our URL over here. So if we can put this in front of the address, view-source, and then we can see the source code. So this works for any page. So if you go over to Google over here, and in Google we put view-source and then and then hit enter, then that's going to give us the source code. So the source code for this page is way more complicated than the source code for the NATAS1 level, but this is how we can do it. We can do view-source, in front of the address, or we can use the Control U keyboard shortcut. And we see here that we have the same password, the same location for the password. So the password is inside of an HTTP comment. So userd asks, what's the command again? So we can do Control plus U. So it's Control plus U if you're on Windows or Linux. If you're on Mac, it's Command U, I think. All right, so we've got the password for NATAS2. We can just highlight it and copy it. And then we're going to exit out of here. Oh, that's really messy to look at. And what we can do is we can go over to the Natus 1 page and we can edit it so that it is instead the Natus 2 page. So once we've edited this so that it says Natus 2, we can hit enter to navigate, and then we can log into Natus level 2. The username is Natus 2, and the password we're going to paste in, and then click on sign in. Okay, so everybody, on Natus level 2, it says there is nothing on this page. If you can see this text, because you've logged into Natus level 2, please let us know by typing in Natus 2 is too good, okay, and then smiley face, just to let us know that you're here. Natus 2. All right, if you're having problems, please let us know in the chat, and we'll try to solve your problems, okay? Well, not every problem, just problems that have to do with navigating to this page. But in the meantime, let's the command doesn't work, says user D. So okay, what I want you to do, user D, what web browser are you using, if I may ask? Are you using Firefox or Chrome or something else? You can also try doing the view-source and then colon. Just put view-source colon in front of the address, and then hit enter, and you should be able to see the source code. So I might so I'll also ask user D, is there another web browser you can use? If you have another web browser on your computer, yeah, so you have the Brave browser. Go ahead and try accessing Natus level 2 or Natus level 1 on the Brave browser and see if you can see the source code on that. Okay, so let's see. Let me finish off the concepts from Natus level 1 first, before we do Natus level 2. Okay, so we're talking about lateral problem solving. Here I can ask something like ChatGPT, what are some different ways we can see HTTP source code in the web browser if mouse right-clicking is not possible? So this is where a security tester's most powerful weapon, research, comes into play. So it sounds kind of corny, but the most powerful tool that hackers have is the ability to do research, and through research we can figure out how to hack stuff. So two common research tools used these days are ChatGPT and the Google search engine. Don't feel bad about going over to ChatGPT and asking it a question, because I ask dozens of questions to ChatGPT every day about different technologies, and it doesn't always get me the correct answer, but ChatGPT doesn't judge you for asking dumb questions. If you ask, other people about questions, they might think that, oh, that's such a simple thing. Why don't you know that? But ChatGPT doesn't judge you. If we go over to here, we can use ChatGPT and Google to find our answers. So once the obstacle to a problem is discovered, we can research a way to overcome the obstacle or a method of bypassing it. So ChatGPT in this case tells us that we can do our keyboard shortcuts, Control U to view the page source. On Mac, it's Command plus Option plus U. Is it Command plus Option plus U on Mac? If anybody's using Mac, please let us know if it's actually Command and Option and U. Okay? Okay, so user D, did you manage to solve your problem? Because we definitely want you to keep up with the rest of the class. All right, great. That's good to hear. Okay, so we're on Natus level 2, and let's go back. So in Natus level 2, it says there is nothing on this page. So as usual, you can access the page source. So in Twitch chat, Jugpearl says, yes, Command Option U works on Mac. Okay, good to hear. I actually have very little experience working with Macs. So if other people who have Macs and have experience using Macs can tell us about Mac stuff, that would be very much appreciated. Okay, so you can use the Control U keyboard shortcut or Command Option U if you're on Mac to see the source code. So once again, in the comment over here, it says this stuff in the header has nothing to do with the level. So this is the header section. This is the beginning of the header section on line 2. And it stops on line 10. So everything from 2 to 10, we can ignore this when we're solving the level. We only need to worry about this section over here. So can anybody identify something interesting inside of these lines from lines 11 to 17? So there's something important that we should pay attention to between lines 11 and 17. What is it? Okay, user BD says there's a link. And user Jugpearl says there's a source file. Yep, that is correct. So on line 15, there is a source file. So it's basically every time you put an image on a web page, you have to provide a link that links to the image, and it uses this source keyword right here. So it says files/pixel.png. So pixel.png is the file, and files is a directory. So we can actually access this link by clicking on it. We can click on it, or we can just right-click on it and put it in a new tab. We can't put it in a new tab. All right, we can click on it. And we see here that this is an image that is just a single pixel. So we can zoom in real close, but we still see that it's just a single pixel on the screen. So what's important about this? So there's something very important about there's something very important about this discovery, and it's not the file itself. So this pixel.png file, it doesn't matter for this challenge. But what is important for this challenge that we just discovered? Can anybody have a guess? Okay, user D says you can't view page source. User BD says it's a dot, right, no problem. Okay, so I think we might, if we view the page source, well, okay, we can't view the page source. This is the page source. If we go out of page source, we can see that it's the same thing. But there's something that we discovered. We discovered this. So there's this file over here, pixel.png. But what's before pixel.png? On Twitch, user Jugpearl says, we are able to open files. We have the access file path. Right. So we have the file path. So we discovered that this pixel.png file is inside a directory called files. So we didn't know this before. So what we can do is we can directly access the files directory. Does anybody know how we access the files directory? So user D says we use the cat command. Well, we could use the cat command if we are on Linux, but we're not on Linux right now. We're on the web browser. So no problem. But this is how we do it. So to access the files directory, all we need to do is go to go to the web address, and after the slash, so it's going to be natus2.natus.labs.overthewire.org, and then there's going to be a slash, and then we can put in the name of the directory we want to access, which is files. So it's going to be overthewire.org/files/. So all you need to do is type that into the web browser and hit enter. And this is going to let us see the contents of the /files directory. So there's the pixel.png file in here, as well as this file called users.txt. So before we access the users.txt file, let's talk about what kind of vulnerability this is. So we're talking about directory indexing, sometimes called directory listing. And what directory indexing is, it's an insecure setting on websites that allows users to see the file contents of web directories. Although it's quite rare to encounter this issue on modern websites, it's still very common to find it on older websites. So if you come across websites that are very old and people haven't been doing a lot of updating on them, then you're going to be able to see this kind of directory indexing vulnerability on them. It basically means that if somebody directly navigates to this directory, you can see everything in there. So in this example here, you've got your admin.html file, you've got your passwords.txt file, you've got your user database file. So these are all made up, but it just tells you that if they've got sensitive files inside a directory, you definitely don't want everybody to be able to see them. So if directory indexing is enabled and a malicious user is able to discover different directory paths on the website, either through guessing or HTML source analysis or a process called directory busting, then sensitive files may be discovered, stolen, or otherwise abused. Okay, so let's go back. So on this page here, no, we're going to this link. So this link here, and I'll just provide it to everybody in chat just in case you need to get the direct link. So this directory here has the pixel.png file as well as this users.txt file. So if we didn't know about this users.txt file, it wasn't in the HTTP source for the last web page, but we can just click on it to access it. And we see here that there's a bunch of usernames and passwords. So it's going to be the username and then colon and then the password. This is a pretty common format for doing username passwords. So we see there's Alice, there's Bob, there's Charlie, there's Eve, there's Mallory, but there's also the natus3 password over here. So the natus3 password is this. So all we need to do is copy the password, and then we can log into the next level, which is natus level 3. So we're just going to get out of here. And then on the main natus page, we're going to edit the URL so that it says natus3 instead of natus2, and then hit enter. User BD says it's like a rabbit hole. So if you do testing on websites, you can often feel like you're running around like a rat in a maze. But if you know what you're looking for, then it becomes a lot easier to navigate and do security testing on these websites. So natus3, the username is going to be natus3, and the password is going to be the password we just got. Paste it in and click on sign in. Okay, so it says there is nothing on this page. So there's probably something on this page. We should probably look at the HTTP source. So user jugpearl on Twitch says, using web vulnerability scanners, would it find these vulnerabilities? Yeah. So any web vulnerability scanner tool that you use is probably going to tell you about directory listing. It'll tell you if it finds a directory, it'll tell you if it's listable or not. And there are some other like very simple web app security tests that web vulnerability scanners will tell you as well. So okay, so this is Natus level 3. It says there's nothing on this page. If we look at the page source, then we see something in these comments over here. So we can safely ignore all this stuff. This is actually the password that we just inputted, so we can safely ignore this stuff. We're on Natus level 3. We're trying to get to Natus level 4. It says no more information leaks. Not even Google will find it this time. So if we didn't know what this is talking about, does anybody know how we could find out about this kind of comment? If we want to research this comment, what tools can we use to research this? Jugpearl says ChatGPT. Okay, and let's see. User BD says another search engine. Yeah, so this is a little bit obscure, but if we try to look for this in a search engine, it might not find anything. But if we ask something like ChatGPT, I saw this comment in an HTTP source code. What could it mean? And then we paste in the comment and hit enter. So it's going to think a little bit. Okay, so this comment likely hints at the removal or hiding of previously exposed information. In CTF challenges, it could suggest that there's hidden or obscured data, server-side filtering, unlisted files or directories. So this is the second point over here is what we're looking for. This challenge could involve finding hidden files, directories, or endpoints that aren't linked properly, that aren't linked openly. Look for files or paths that might have been de-indexed by using robots.txt or placing files in directories that are unlisted. So this is what we're going to be talking about in this challenge. So in this challenge, they're actually talking about this file right here called robots.txt. So let's learn a little bit more about this file. Okay, so first we're going to talk about HTTP requests. So when we're learning about web app hacking stuff, we have to understand how how the internet works and how web browsers do requests and how they send requests, how they receive requests, stuff like that. So HTTP is the backbone of the internet, and all web browsers receive web page content by sending HTTP requests to web servers. So your web browser is going to send all of these HTTP requests to the website, and then it's going to receive a response from the website, and that's how you're going to get your web page content. So in return, the web servers send the web browser an HTTP response, which is rendered by the browser and presented by the user. So each time you load up a web page, you're sending an HTTP request, and then whatever you receive in response is going to be made pretty by the web browser, and that's going to be the web page that you see on your web browser. So each HTTP request is made with a specific HTTP method, which tells the web server what kind of interaction you want from it. So, for example, when you're getting information from the web server, you're usually using this method right here, which is called GET. So this is an example of the kind of information you would send in a GET request. So you send a GET request via HTTP to the Natus CTF server, and then it's going to send you a response, which is basically the web page that you're requesting to get. The most common HTTP method is the GET method, which retrieves the contents of web pages. So the web server will always return an HTTP status code with its response in the form of a 3-digit number. Any code in the 2XX range is considered a successful response. So we can actually take a look at what the raw response and request looks like. And so if you have a Windows computer, you can go over to your search bar in your Windows computer and then type in the letter CMD. So when you do that, you should see something that looks like command prompt. What I want you to do is I want you to click on that icon over there under command prompt, and it's going to open up a window like this. So this is a Windows command prompt. It's kind of similar to a Linux command prompt, but it's not exactly the same. But let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see, properties. I can increase the font size to 36. Okay, now it's nice and big. Okay, so you don't need to do this yourself, but I'm going to show you an example of what happens when we, let's see. So there's a program called curl, and we're going to be using it a little bit later during our web app hacking sessions. But we can use the curl program to retrieve web pages. So let's see, curl, and let me get something very simple like example.com. So, okay. So example.com is just an example website that's up on the internet. And we see a bunch of different stuff that's sent when we send our request. So we send with our request a bunch of different information over here. So we're going to get the page with the HTTP 1.1 protocol. We're going to send it to example.com. We're using curl, and then we receive a response. So in the response it says 200 OK, and then it tells us how many bytes we're receiving and all sorts of other information. And this is the code for the web page. But we got off topic a little bit. What we really want to talk about is robots.txt. So this is what the CTF challenge is talking about. So what is this robots.txt file? So search engines such as Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, etc., they use programs called robots to visit websites and map out the web pages there. However, this may cause sensitive areas of websites to appear in search results. So if you have a super secret project on your web page, on your website, and you don't want Google to get the information about that, then you can use this robots.txt file to prevent the search engine robots from looking at that page. In order to prevent this, website administrators can add a file called robots.txt to their website, which specifies which directories and or pages of the website are off limits to search engine robot programs. So there's actually a robots.txt file on the Google website. So if we go to google.com, google.com/robots.txt. So just type in google.com/robots.txt. And then this is the Google website's robots.txt file. This is what it allows and disallows the search engine robots from recording. So it also has this user agent section right here. User agent just means the program that's being used to access the web page. So user agent could be something like the Chrome browser or the Firefox browser or the curl program. But it also says we're going to allow you to look at these things. We're going to disallow you to look at these things. So can you tell me what the problem could be with using the robots.txt file to tell the robots which super secret pages we shouldn't be looking at? So if we've got super secret pages we don't want the search engine robots to look at, what's the problem with listing them out on the robots.txt file? So user Marco Polisic on YouTube says we would be able to see the hidden path. That is correct. So because, unfortunately, if malicious users know how to find the robots.txt file, then the contents of the file could potentially lead them to sensitive areas of the website. So you don't necessarily want to put all of your secret stuff in the robots.txt file. Okay, so let's solve the challenge. So in the challenge it says, not even Google will find it this time, it's talking about robots.txt. How do we access the robots.txt file from the Natus 3 webpage? Can anybody tell us how we access the robots.txt file? Okay, so just like accessing the robots.txt file on the Google website, we can just go up to the URL bar and we can put a slash and then robots.txt. So remember, it's whatever website we're on, so overthewire.org, and then slash and then robots.txt. So if we access it, we see here that user agent is any user agent. Anything can record the website, but it's going to disallow access to this directory. So the directory is /secret, but with 3's instead of e's, and then slash. So all we need to do to access this hidden directory is copy the hidden directory, and then go up to the top where the address bar is, and then highlight /robots.txt and paste in the secret directory over here. So if you just want to access this directly, I'll provide the URL in the chat. And then hit enter. Okay, and this is too big. Let's make it smaller. So this is also directory listing and directory indexing. Let's see. User BD says the pixel got bigger. Yeah. So so in case you didn't know, you can actually make the text inside of your web browser bigger and smaller. So you can do Control-Shift+ to make the text bigger, and you can do Control- to make the text smaller. So this comes in handy if there's some really small text or really big text on the page. So in this secret directory, we also have a users.txt file. So we can access that to finish the challenge. So just click on it, and then it says natus4 : this thing over here. So this is what we use to access Natus level 4. Highlight it, copy it, and then back at the base Natus 3 page, we can edit this so it says Natus 4 instead of Natus 3. The username is going to be Natus 4, and the password is going to be the password we just got. So just paste that in and hit sign in. Okay, so everybody, if you can see this text over here, access is allowed, please type in the chat, those clanky robots.txt, smiley face. As usual, if you're having problems, let us know what problems you're having in the chat, and we'll try to help solve your problem. Okay, so that took a little longer than I thought it would, but I think we have time to solve one challenge over at picoctf before we finish today's class. So over at picoctf, I'd like you to log into the website, and if you don't have the link, let me grab the link for you. All right, so we've got users D and users BD say those clanky robots. They sure are clanky. Okay, so once there, so we actually don't need a web shell, so we don't need to worry about that step. We're going to be solving, let's see, this challenge over here, which is called Where Are the Robots? Okay, so just to practice accessing the robots.txt file, we're going to use this challenge right here. So this challenge is Where Are the Robots in picoctf? And I think there's a direct link. So even if you don't have a picoctf account, you might be able to follow along. Okay, so where are the robots? Okay, we've got a link. So everybody, I want you to navigate to this link And if you're able to finish the challenge before I help you finish the challenge, then you are a cool person. But let's access the challenge, okay? Okay, so it says, welcome, where are the robots? All right, so does anybody remember how to access the robots.txt file? So if you take a look at the source for this page, there's not very much here, but it says, where are the robots? So we can just go up to the top, and in the URL, we just need to add robots.txt after the slash over here. So it's 60915 slash, and then it's robots.txt. And we see that it disallows this directory right here. Oh, this is not a directory, this is a file. So this is this 8028f.html. So we can just copy this. Then go over, okay, so JugPearl has finished the challenge ahead of time. Thank you very much. You were an awesome person, JugPearl. You can find the robots. Okay, so just highlight slash robots.txt, paste in this over here, slash 8028f.html, and let me grab that URL just in case you wanted to access it directly. Okay, hit enter, and then it says, JugPearl says, I'm awesome because of you. I'm sure you you had all sorts of knowledge before you started learning from these classes. Thank you very much. Guess you found the robots. Okay, so picoctf calculating machines. Just highlight the flag, go back to picoctf, paste in the flag, click on submit flag. And it looks like it's not responding. So I'm going to have to wait for about 10 seconds and then try again. Okay, so click again. It's going to give me another error. Let's try one more time. Okay, hooray, we solved the challenge. All right, so everybody, if you managed to solve the challenge, please type in the chat, I found the robots.txt again. Smiley face. Okay, so that's about going to wrap up today's lesson. Before we finish out, let's take a look at let's do a quick summary and take a look at what we learned in today's lesson. GrayFox01 on Twitch asks, is picoctf free? Yeah, picoctf is completely free. There's you couldn't pay for it if you wanted to. So if you want to sign up for it, you can go over, let me grab the link. So picoctf register. So you can go ahead and go to this link. Oh, that's a bad looking link. Let's get the prettier looking link. This link is nice and pretty. Okay, so this is the link you would use if you wanted to sign up for picoctf. Okay, so what did we learn in today's web hacking workshop? So we learned about lateral problem solving. The most important skill to develop in cybersecurity is researching. Google and ChatGPT are two powerful research tools. Use them wisely. Don't feel bad about using them to solve problems because you have to use all of your tools at your disposal. We learned about directory indexing. Directory indexing, sometimes called directory listing, is a vulnerability on websites that allows users to see the file contents of web directories, which can lead to sensitive data exposed to arbitrary website visitors. And we learned about robots.txt. It's a special file included on certain websites that indicate which files on the site can and cannot be indexed by search engines. It can be abused to point malicious users to sensitive parts of the website. All right, so what's next? In the next Hacker Frogs After School Web App Hacking workshop, we're going to continue learning web app hacking with the NetCTF. And in the next workshop, we're going to be learning about, let's see, what are we learning in the next workshop? Let me look that up really quick. Sometimes I forget. So in the next workshop, we're going to be learning about HTTP headers. So HTTP headers as well as HTTP cookies these are the topics we're going to be learning about in the next workshop. So I'm going to finish out the Zoom call with the students who are learning via Zoom. But for everybody else, you're going to see a be right back screen. But first of all, let me put on a little video of my backyard birds that you can watch while you're waiting for me to come back. So these are the backyard birds. I'm going to finish out the call with the Zoom students. I'll be back in a few minutes, okay?